This episode has been brought to you by DiceyGoblin.com, online board game retailer, where every board game is an award-winning board game. Hey everybody, welcome to Board Online, Board Offline. Today we've got a card close-up of all the cards in Manuscript, The Quest for Knowledge. If you haven't seen anything about this game prior to this, go back and take a look at my unboxing and my how to play video. So without anything else, let's take a look at the cards. Alright, let's start out with the Manuscript cards. Now keep in mind that all the Manuscript cards are identical in terms of functionality, but just thought you might want to see the different ones available that you'll be looking for. So you have the Art Manuscript, Science, Cartography, Music, Philosophy, and Linguistics. Linguistics. It makes sense that I'd messed that one up. Alright, now let's take a look at the monsters, starting with the Minotaur. Now he's going to be summoned by a 7 on the red 8-sided die. He's going to have 3 life. He's going to fight with a black 8-sided die, and he's going to move 6. The rest of this is a little bit of flavor text and then telling you in detail all of that. Next up, we've got the Werewolf, who is going to be near impossible to kill with his 30 life. He's summoned by a red 6. He attacks with the white 6-sided die, and he moves 5. Here we've got the Knight of Doom with his 4 life. He's summoned by a red 5, fights with a 10-sided die, and moves 4 spaces. Next up, we've got the Ogre with 3 life, or summoned by a 4 on the red dice, attacks with a 10-sided die, and moves 5 spaces. The Orc has 4 life, is summoned with a 3, attacks with a 10-sided die, and moves 4 spaces. Alright, here's the Red Dragon, which is a little bit different. He's got 4 life, summoned with a 2, has a white 6-sided die, and moves only 2 spaces. And the reason he moves so slowly is because he's actually very dangerous. If you're adjacent to him, you're dead immediately. And so for this reason, you're able to battle him from 2 squares away. You got to be real careful not to get too close to him. And yeah, so that's the Red Dragon. And then we've got the Grim Reaper here, who actually has a lifeline of 0. And the reason for that is you're not allowed to actually attack him. If he battles you, which by the way he's summoned with a 1 from the red die, he's going to roll a 12-sided die if he decides to attack you. 1 to 5, nothing's going to happen. A 6 to 11, you die immediately, no chance at all. And if it lands on a 12, then he actually disappears for the rest of the game. He cannot be resummoned into the game, and he moves 3 spaces at a time. All right, and finally moving on into the spell cards. We start off with the Agility spell. When this spell is cast on your search party, everyone adds 2 to their movement range and the ability to move diagonally. This spell lasts only 1 turn. This is a defensive spell and can be used immediately before another player attacks your search party. Blasting spell. This spell moves a player's piece 6 squares in the directional preference of the caster. This spell can move player pieces through internal room walls and up and down level changes of any height. This spell does not move player pieces diagonally. Movement does not continue into adjacent rooms. Blow dart. This wizard's weapon has a range of 8 squares. The dart can move around corners and travel up and down levels. The dart cannot travel diagonally. Roll the decision dice and subtract the black 8-sided dice's number from the target's lifeline. This is a defensive spell and can be used immediately before another player attacks your search party. Banishing spell. This spell can be cast on any player piece in the room. Roll the decision dice. If the green 10-sided die is an even number, the player piece returns to the wizard's original starting door. If the green die is an odd number, the spell has no effect. Disappear/reappear spell. This spell allows one player piece free passage from their square to a square in any other room. The square where the player piece reappears must have the same coordinates as the square where the player piece disappeared. Enchanted Grappling Hook and Rope. Allows a search party to ascend or descend multiple levels. This can be used to climb over a wall between adjacent rooms where there is no door. Crow spell. This spell allows the wizard to summon an old crow. The crow may pluck a jewel or the search party's manuscript from the board. The wizard must be within 4 squares of the item. The crow cannot steal a jewel from a player piece. If the manuscript is plucked, the princess needs to be adjacent to the wizard and verify the acquisition of the manuscript card with the manuscript card. Fog spell. This spell is cast on an entire room. During the spell, no player piece can attack or be attacked. Player pieces can move around as normal. The spell lasts 3 turns. This is a defensive spell and can be used immediately before another player attacks your search party. Flying Steed. When summoned by the wizard, this stallion can carry up to 2 search party player pieces 15 squares and can fly diagonally. The search party player pieces need to be within 2 spaces of each other. Healing spell. When cast on one player piece, the spell restores a player piece's lifeline to the original value. Immune spell. This spell is cast on a search party player piece. While under this spell, the player piece cannot be hurt by weapons or battle. This spell lasts 3 turns. This is a defensive spell and can be used immediately before another player attacks your search party. Lightning Bolt. This wizard's weapon can target any foe in the room. Roll the decision dice, and the blue die's value is subtracted from the foe's lifeline. Magic Whirlwind. This spell relocates every player piece in the room. Roll the decision dice for each player piece and move them to those coordinates, just like locating a monster in a new room. Slayer Sword. This spell upgrades a player piece to a green 10-sided die. This spell may only be used for 1 turn by 1 player. This is a defensive spell and can be used immediately before another player attacks your search party. Monster Hypnosis. This spell allows the wizard to control 1 monster in his room for 3 turns. The monster can be sent into adjacent rooms. The wizard no longer controls the monster when it leaves the room. The previous owner retakes control of the monster. Place shown counting die in the room with the number 3 facing up. Use this die to count turns by reducing this number at the beginning of the affected player's turn. When changing the die to 0, the spell ends and the die is removed from the board. Monster Maker. This spell allows the wizard to roll the decision dice and call a monster in the room. This monster is controlled by the wizard. The red dragon cannot land adjacent to any of the wizard's search party. If the dragon is adjacent, re-roll for its location. Speed Spell. This spell adds movement equal to the roll of a 6-sided die to any player piece shown by the wizard. This spell lasts only 1 turn. Strength Spell. This spell allows a search party player piece to battle a character of the wizard's choice using a 10-sided die. This spell lasts the duration of the game. Time Warp. This spell freezes everyone in the room for 3 turns except the wizard's search party player piece. Place shown counting die in the room with the number 3 facing up. Use this die to count turns by reducing this number at the beginning of the affected player's turn. When changing the die to 0, the spell ends and the die is removed from the board. Thieving Rat. The wizard may rouse a rodent that can travel 2 spaces away and retrieve all the jewels from 1 player piece. The rodent delivers the jewels to the wizard. Disorient Spell. This spell is cast on any player piece. It causes the affected piece to move away from the wizard's search party at full speed in the direction chosen by the wizard. Caution, this spell may cause backtracking or death. This spell lasts for 3 turns. Place shown counting die in the room with the number 3 facing up. Use this die to count the... You know how that goes by now. Magic Spinach. This potion is fed to the wizard's search party. It adds 2 to the lifeline of each of his search party pieces. Jewel Hawk. When the wizard calls upon this raptor, it snatches a jewel chosen by the wizard. The decision dice are rolled, and the yellow and black 8-sided die determine the square in which the jewel is dropped in. The raptor can snatch a jewel from a player piece, or one laying on the board. Magic Boots. These boots can be worn by all in the wizard's search party for 1 turn. During that period, the boots will allow each player piece to move at a speed of 8 in addition to their original movement. Player pieces cannot move diagonally. Room Flip. This spell allows your search party to move to an adjacent room. Roll the black and yellow 8-sided die to relocate each of your player pieces to the chosen adjacent room. Don't forget to roll for a monster if needed. This is a defensive spell and can be used immediately before another player attacks your search party. Tundra Spell. This spell freezes all player pieces' movement within the wizard's room for 3 moves. It does not affect the wizard's search party. Place shown counting die in the room, and you know how that goes. Microburst. The wizard can affect any player piece located within 3 squares of him. They are moved up to 5 squares in the direction chosen by the wizard. Effective player pieces can move through walls, through player pieces, and up and down levels. Effective player pieces can be moved into a different room if required. Roll for a monster. Intoxomia. When cast on a player piece, the piece cannot move, fight, or cast spells for 3 turns and cannot be attacked during those 3 turns. Place shown counting die in the room with the number 3 facing up. Use this die to count turns by reducing this number at the beginning of the affected player's turn. When changing the die to 0, the spell ends and the die is removed from the board. Generosima. When cast on a player piece, the player piece leaves 1 jewel on the square closest to the wizard. The player piece backs away 4 squares in the direction chosen by the wizard, but cannot enter a new room. This is a defensive spell and can be used immediately before another player attacks your search party. Bow and arrow. This spell allows a player piece of the wizard's choosing to shoot 1 arrow at any player piece in the room. Roll a 6-sided die and subtract the number from the target's lifeline. This is a defensive spell and can be used immediately before another player attacks your search party. So there you have it. That's everything in the cards for Manuscript Quest for Knowledge. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you like my channel, please subscribe. You can find me on Twitter at boredonlineboardoffline. I'm on BGG. There's a guild over there. You can find the link for that in the description down below. You can find me on Board Game Blender about every other week or so. And until next time, if you're bored online, bored offline.